but basically every course, excuse me, is going to have this main page. And what this is really just like a table of contents. You can kind of choose what you want to put on this. And like, for example, these are the different sort of the different modules or sections in this Earth 1010 course. So there's, I put an area together for communication. This is where all the lecture content is going to be. Of course, again, hopefully not all of our lectures are going to be online necessarily, for some of you at least, as we move forward. But anyways, here are an assignment section, some field trips, and then I had an exam. I kind of kept the number of modules relatively short. I also had like an announcements pane on here, so this is what students see, and you can make that, you can collapse that. It's just a widget. And then there's also calendar. So I just kept the main page relatively simple with announcements, the calendar, and the table of contents. And if we jump into the course, I can show you how you actually change this layout. So, but before we do that, I just wanted to point out what this looks like. So what you can see right here is the course home, and that's always going to get you back to this page right here. The content is going to jump you right into the course where you can actually access, the course communication lecture modules and so on and so forth. Or if you just wanted to jump to the lecture modules, you can just click there. But anyways, that's, content will get you there as well. Progress, you can see, you can jump to the grades here and so on. That's more useful for students. Same with the tools. There's a bunch of tools that you can access. And then they have like links for, Carleton Central and all that kind of junk, media space and so on and so forth, which is great, but whatever, it's not that useful. But the thing that you will want to be using the most and paying the most attention to is this course admin section. So that's where you're going to be able to manipulate the course as much as you want. And I'll also point out that if you click back to Carleton University, for those of you that are teaching more than one course, I'm just going to click there now. It brings you back to this portal, basically, where you can see all of your different courses. That always gets you back there. And so I'm just going to jump back into the Earth 1010. So whenever you click that, you get to here. And so what I'll do is I'll jump into this course admin section right here. And this is kind of what you're faced with. There's a whole lot of options on here, but it's pretty reasonable. So again, site setup, we'll take a quick peek at that right now. Site resources, we'll spend a little bit of time on some of these things, and then you'll spend quite a bit of time on the assessment as well. But for example, course offering information and home pages. If you wanted to, for example, change that homepage where I had the announcements and the calendar and the widget style, you can come here and you can create a new homepage. So the default course homepage is just has you can see right here, it has visual table of contents and announcements. So if you don't want to do anything, you're going to end up with a visual table of contents and announcements. And all I did was create a new homepage by just clicking this button, and it created this. And I just named it Earth 1006 Summer 2021. And if I click on that, you can name it and so on and so forth. The widget base seems to be the nicest, the thing that students enjoy the most. It's the most simple to navigate. So I would leave it as widget based. But down at the bottom, so if you're leaving it widget based, this is where you can change kind of what you want on there. You can change the layout, so like 2 panels or just one single panel, or 2 panels with one on the bottom, and there's multiple options. I leave it kind of simple, just basic 2-panel layout, and then you can choose what widgets you want. So again, the visual table of contents is here, the announcements, the calendar, but you could add something like, I don't know, you could add, if you had bookmarks, or I don't know, if you wanted to have a course overview, or or something like that. You can add whatever widgets. There's a whole bunch of them in there. Some of these I don't even know what they do, but and then you can also organize them. For example, oh well, I want the calendar to be up here, so you just click and drag, and it's done. And I will say, there's a bunch of stuff that's not perfect with Brightspace, but I have to say, building and manipulating course content in Brightspace is absolutely magical compared to CU Learn. It's so easy, it's so quick, it's so responsive that it just makes your life really easy. So yeah, you can arrange things as you see fit, and you can mess around with that as much as you like. A few other quick things in terms of course admin. I think at some point a critical thing that you'll want to do is make your course live, and so you're going to do that through the course offering information. Like all of this stuff is automatically in there, and then what you're going to want to do is actually just check this date, or you can change this date to when the course goes live. Just really quickly check what it'll look like for you by going back to my fall course here that I haven't done anything with other than pin it. So this is my blank Earth 1000. Yeah, go ahead.
How did you make the course live? I missed. Oh,
that. Okay. So let's just try that right now with my brand new fall course, which is not live right now. So in the course admin, you'll go to the course offering information link right at the top. And once you click that, all of this information is filled. Oh, there is a button. Yeah. So there's a button to make the course active, which I'm not going to check right now because this is for the fall. And then you can say, okay, maybe you want students to be able to access the content earlier than September 8th, and you can change that. But yeah, you're just going to check it right there, and then hit save, which I'm not going to do. But yeah. So I'm going to jump back to Earth 1010 because there's more. Because again, I haven't done anything with that fall course yet. But so back into course admin. So you can do some actually, I should point out you can do some fun things like if we go back to this, just where all the pages are. So for example, actually we'll use the fall course. Like I don't want a tree as my image for my fall 1006 course. So you can change the image. And you can change it to whatever you want. There's literally, I'm not going to scroll through these, but there's like, this will continually scroll forever and ever and ever. Let's make it a nice water. Oh no, this one's nice. We'll use that image. Hopefully I haven't used that in anything. So there you go. You can change that image. Now it might be like, oh, okay, who cares about changing the image? Well, in fact, if you've got sections in your course that you've set up, like little modules. So for example, here, I actually put these little images in here. If you don't do that, this same image, so in the case of this Earth 1010, this image will show up in all of those, just so you know. But you can change these, and I can show you how to do that. That's a fun thing, but we can do that. But let's just jump into the course, and so you can see what this actually looks like, the course itself looks like, and then we can go down the rabbit hole of everything else that you want to know. But so this is my Earth 1010 course from the fall, and what you can see right here on the left side are those different modules that we just looked at the buttons for. So the course communication, the lecture modules, online assignments, virtual field trips, and lecture exams. It's really easy to add a module. So for example, cool images, I can add that module. I just type there and it shows up. And so here's my cool images, and I can put some cool images in there, and I can actually, I'm going to hide it. It's automatically visible. I'm just going to hide it because this is an active course, and they still have their exam coming on Saturday. But I'm sure not many people are in here at the moment, but I just don't want them to freak out. Hey, what's this cool images section? But you can add like modules really easily. And if we go into like what, for example, my course communication, I've got, I posted an introductory video. I have my office hours. So you have different items that you can add. And if you want to change, what this looks like, so for example, here's my course communication, lecture modules. I'm just minimizing these by clicking a button. But if you want to change how this looks, if you just go into course communication by clicking, if you click on this area, it actually gives you an HTML browser, or not browser, excuse me, an HTML window where you can type or insert imagery. And what I find very useful is when you're doing course setup is to go full screen. So there's a toggle full screen button. You can drag it bigger if you want, but I just toggle full screen. And so I just, again, found this silly image on the internet. I just downloaded it and then cropped it to fit here. And then I just typed in, my message: office hours and discussion forums are accessed here. Please visit, I'll just edit it so you can see, please visit frequently. And then I just hit update, or in the case if you're starting from scratch, you would hit save, but update. And now that has been updated. So it's super fast, it's super easy to manage those different things. And the other thing, I'm going to jump back and forth just to show you what this looks like. If we go back to the course home, so here you can see that course communication, my silly support image. But if you click this I button, what you'll see is that little message that you typed in the bottom. So office hours and discussion forums are accessed here. And of course, I just typed in the please visit frequently thing. And then I have little messages for all of these, that students can figure out theoretically what's going on. And you'll notice that Cool Images doesn't have anything. It doesn't have the little info button. It doesn't have anything there because I haven't done anything with it. So again, if I wanted to add that description, I can add that description here. This is where I'll post cool images. And then if I wanted to insert, say, for example, an image, I can do that. And if I want to insert it from my computer, you can go to your computer and upload something. Let me just dump something in there so everybody can see. Here, I've got a Canadian money thing like I did with Sheila for the Earth Sciences one. So when you add that, you can provide alternative text. So for example, if you're uploading, not so much for these display purposes, but this will come up every single time you add an image in your course or something. And if it's something, academic, for example, that you want to also have a description for, as for those that have, visual issues, you can type in, an actual description for the alternative text. But since this is just decorative, I just click this is decorative. And now you can see that make this full screen. You can see that the image is here. I'll update it. And in fact, if we go back to that course home, we should see, look at that, cool images. And it's got my money picture hidden here now instead of this. So that's, again, just making the course look a little nice. Let's jump back into content. I guess for ease of, I'll just show you what I did for this course. Like I broke my lectures into different modules. You can do it by week or whatever. I did it by topic. So like, for example, topic module 5 could be metamorphic rocks. This is sedimentary rocks. So if we go into module 4, I've got my sedimentary rocks lectures. I have a sub-module for lecture slides that you can open up. So here are the PDF documents for the lecture slides. And so here's where, for example, you can add different things. So for example, if you've got lecture content and you have that, it doesn't matter where it is, if it's on YouTube or if it's on Mediaspace, if you wanted to add a lecture, and I can add a lecture in here right now, what you're going to do is I'm going to create or upload. I'm actually using a link. I'm going to point something out right here. If you're using Mediaspace, which Carlton encourages you to use Mediaspace for videos, which all of my videos are in Mediaspace, there's a weird problem with Mediaspace and Brightspace, where if you add, so if you can go to existing activities and add one of your videos through from Mediaspace. So if you go here, existing activities, it's got stuff from Brightspace itself. So like assignments, checklists, discussions, quizzes. These are all Brightspace, native things, and we'll talk about those. There's also the insert from Mediaspace here. And I'm going to show you what this does. So it inserts from Mediaspace, but the problem is it screws the titling up. So let's just go. You just go to, wait. Well, let's go to my Planet Hollywood course and add something. Oh, here, I've got playlists. Where is all my stuff? I've literally got hundreds of videos. Okay, here. Oh, here we go. Let's just add climate risks. So, so you can just click embed. Okay, so notice my title, Earth 2012, Module 6, Lecture 13, Climate Risks and Implications. So I'm going to embed that. And now we're going to see, well, maybe they fixed it. Well, now the whole point of this was moot. So it adds it in. So maybe they actually fixed this. Maybe they actually listened to my feedback. This is a good thing. I didn't do this in the summertime at all. But what was happening before is it had like a 16 character thing or something going on, and it would put in symbols and ampersands that cut your title off. And so it looked really horrendous. Like it wouldn't give you the full title. So it would cut it off at like climate risk, and then it would put like an ampersand and a pound sign, and it just looked like hell in the springtime or in the winter term when I was doing this. So maybe they actually fixed it. So okay, well there you go. I learned something as well. So you can add it in there, and regardless, you can do it that way, or I'll show you another way. You can just insert a link. So if you create a link and you call this new lecture, and then you can insert, a link. This is a Mediaspace link, and you just hit create, and it creates it. It brings you to this section right here, and for some reason it brings you there, but it doesn't really matter. But what you'll see is there's our new lecture, and it just gives you this link. And this was just going to open up in Mediaspace just as we did.
Yeah,
so either way, yeah, go ahead.
Put YouTube link.
You can absolutely put YouTube links there, Mediaspace. So let me just.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just throw a YouTube link. That's up here.
It's not needed. I know.
Okay. So yeah, you can just. In fact, so it's a good question, Darius. In fact, they've really integrated YouTube really well, and so I'm gonna just do this anyways. Oh, Joel's Tower did that. I'm gonna copy this link. So the nice thing is, if you go to, you can actually either insert a link by doing the create a link, or you can insert this as an embedded video. So if you click video or audio, in the case of YouTube, you can actually just import or like insert your YouTube link. And so here, and it actually tells you what sites can be embedded. I know YouTube, but here is, I just went and grabbed a Devil's Tower video randomly, but you'll see that it adds it a little differently. it should, I think, yeah, it actually adds it as you'll see it's a video. Even though I can add that same YouTube link as a link and it's going to do the same thing, or I can, you know, in the case of MediaSpace, I can add a MediaSpace, but it, you know, it will do the same thing. But yeah, so there's a few different ways to approach that. But YouTube integration is really nice.
If you add that video, would you be able to drag and drop like the Devil's Tower video into that other new lecture that you just created? Like anything like that?
Oh yeah. So okay, so this is the link itself. But let's say, for example,
Okay.
I wanted to create a new lectures submodule. So you know, you go and add those links. You can absolutely, like, I can just boom add these right into that module. So now, you know, they're in my new lectures module. And let's say, you know, for example, even within the module, let's say, oh, well, you know, this was actually should have been lecture 1. It's just a simple click and drag to get that position wherever you want. Like it's so much nicer than CU Learn in that regard. And it's instant, and it tells you, okay, yeah, you moved this successfully to the new spot down here. So yeah.
Sorry, can you click and drag from your computer? You save the video on your computer using Zoom. Just click and drag.
Yeah. So for example, if you can't click and drag right to here. You have to do the upload create. So if you do a create new link, this is new. Oops. Sorry, hit the wrong button. New Zoom lecture, we'll call it. And oh, wait a minute. Oh, it doesn't work with link. Oh, so you need to, okay. So you would need to upload video or audio, and here you go, upload video, and you can just drag and drop right to here to do that. And so, for example, just grab a video. Well, it's easy enough. I think I have like large videos, so I'm not going to do it. But they would prefer you can see it right here. You can upload videos up to a maximum of 2 gigabytes. So they would much rather you create a link to that. Using, they would much rather you post that to YouTube or post it to MediaSpace and then link to it versus like loading all your videos in here. But you can do it. So I'm gonna actually. Oh, so now, okay. So wait. I don't want my new lectures in here anymore because I don't want my students to freak out. So what can I do with this? So first of all, I can actually arrange it however I want. For example, let's say wait a minute, I just created new lectures in module 4 when it should have been in module 10. I can just drag my new lectures into module 10. So now new lectures is in module 10. So I just clicked it right into that left side menu and put it in the right spot. Again, it's super easy once you've got your content in here to manipulate it. And if I don't want that at all, I can click on it. So I clicked on module 10 and I clicked on new lectures, and now I'm here and I can see my 2 lectures in here. But if I go up to this drop down, you can see I can edit my title, I can hide this, I can do whatever I want. I can move it through here if you want, which clicking and dragging is generally easier. But the key thing is, what I want to do is delete it. So I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to permanently delete and remove all of that because it's really not material associated with this course. And so it's deleting that stuff. And now I don't have that information in there. And I'm just going to pop back to module 4. And I can do the same thing to an individual item. So I don't want climate risks and implications, even though it's reasonably appropriate in sedimentary rock, but I don't want that for that course. So I'm going to delete that topic, and I'm going to delete, even though there isn't a file because it's just an external link, I'm going to delete it anyway. It's just because I want to deal with that. So yeah, so it's very easy to do that kind of thing. So a few pieces of advice that I have. If you have the opportunity to, let's say you already have all your lectures and your lecture slides, they're all ready to go. You can add them into Brightspace versus like clicking individual links like we just did. You can actually add them into Brightspace by going to course admin and then manage files. So you can manage your course files easily through here. And this is probably a little bit of a disaster right now, but you can see here, it's kind of like a basic file browser. You can create new folders or you can choose to upload. So for example, for Earth 1010, I already had all my lecture slides ready to go. I didn't change anything from the fall for the summer course. So I had a folder called lecture slides on my computer with all of the PDF files for the entire course. And unfortunately, it does that classic old school computer thing where it, module 10 comes before module 1, but which is irritating, but nevertheless, it's there. So if you have all of these things ready to go in advance, you can just upload and dump that whole folder of all your lecture slides in there. And I say that because it's actually really convenient, because now if we go back to the content, and let's say you're putting together your course, and so I'm just going to make a whole new module that I can delete. So I'm going to just call this delete this module. So I have a new module right here called delete this module. So now what I want to do is I want to actually upload files. So let's say, for example, I want to upload all those lecture files. You can do this by putting them in the course offering. I should also point out you can do this if you have it in OneDrive. But if you go to your course offering files, it brings up this same file browser type situation, and you can see I have got my lecture slides in here. So now I can just go into my lecture slides and I can just check, okay, I'm just going to dump all of module 10's lecture slides all at once. And interestingly, what it'll do is it'll actually it'll put it in the order that you click. So I clicked it obviously in order from 1 to 11, but I'm pretty sure about this. Let's just double check I'm not lying. So module 1-4 and then 1-2. So it's going to go ahead and just add those all, like it's all ready to go. You're done. And it did. So it did add 4 and then 2, in order. So it's pretty slick to get content into your course once you've got it, into Brightspace through the files. Now, again, a lot of us are, going week to week. I totally get it. I was doing the same for other courses. So, you can always just upload. You can upload the file, and then if you've got your lecture files right here, you can just click and drag them, right to here. So it's not hard to add it, or you can do it like you can browse, like you can click this button, it'll browse your computer, or you can drag right onto here. So yeah, so that's really nice once you've got the files. A couple other things. Okay, so I want to delete this module, so I click over there. I'm gonna delete this module. Ooh, I don't want to do that because I added course files I'm gonna keep. So yeah, so it's really easy to manipulate things, and it's quite straightforward. But what else some other things I want to make sure that I get to are one of the things that it has at the top here are these course details, and this is actually something that you'll probably do right out of the beginning. And this is basically your course outline. This is in here by default, so you don't have to add this. It's there for you to add your course details. And basically what I did is I just cut and paste some of my my course outline into this course details, namely like this is why, Earth Science is cool, the course evaluation, materials, and so on and so forth. I just literally cut and paste it from the Word document, and then I uploaded the full, and you can just drag, again, your course syllabus as a PDF or Word document. I usually do PDFs, but you can upload your full course syllabus here that has all kinds of other details like conflicts and accommodation, all that accommodation info that you may or may not have in your course outline. So this is just a PDF version and schedule and so on and so forth that you can add. But it does give you the opportunity to kind of provide a little bit of a course summary as well as like a web page type thing. So that's one of the first things you'll probably do, because you'll probably have your syllabus done or your outline done first, and you can get that course outline done. And students can also download that course outline as well from here. So that's that. Any questions about that stuff so far, or pretty good?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you do your office hours? Because I usually used to do it like Big Blue Button because that was easy for TAs to hop on and everything.
Yeah.
You do that with Brightspace?
Absolutely, yeah. So Big Blue Button is fully integrated. So I do the same, in fact. So here, here I'm just going to show you what it looks like, and I'll show you how to add it. So here are the TA instructor office hours, and you can see it has got this external learning tool in here, which I'll show you how we get there. But if you click it, it will look fairly familiar. This is the Big Blue Button session. Kind of what it looks like, and then recordings would show up here. We didn't record office hours, but and you can edit it. Again, Earth 1010 office hours. Here's where it is. Students must wait for the instructor, so on and so forth. And then clicking on it will just start that classic Big Blue Button. And I'm gonna bail on that just because I don't want my double microphone freaking out here. But yeah, so Big Blue Button is an option. So the way you add things like those external learning tools that are already there are through the existing activities button. So you click that, and again, I think I mentioned before, there's like a bunch of the stuff from Brightspace itself, like assignments and quizzes and so on. But here's this external learning tools. So if we click on that, it brings up a laundry list of external tools. So course reserves, Big Blue Button. Teams integration has apparently gotten better. It was really terrible in the winter, so I didn't use it for the winter. But I used Teams mostly for actually my TA meetings to manage that. I mostly use Big Blue Button for office hours because it's pretty simple. Poll everywhere if you're using that, or if you prefer to use Zoom for the people that are using Zoom meetings, you add it right through here. So you can just click Zoom meeting, and then it gives you a link to your Zoom meeting tool. So you can, again, if you're a Zoom user, you probably see this. I don't use Zoom that much, so I don't have any upcoming meetings, but oh yeah, I don't even have any previous meetings. I don't have any previous. I used it for like winter course. But anyways, it's all in there. You can just add it right in. And I will say, because I did use Zoom for the winter term as part of the pilot, because nothing else was working at the time. If you set up a recurring meeting in Zoom, the recurring meetings will show up as a list right here. So that is kind of nice in that regard. It does show all your stuff there. So yeah, so there are some good learning tools that are available. Just remove that.
Okay, awesome.
Forget, yeah. I guess I should point out a couple things before we go on to like quizzes and quiz material and stuff from CU Learn that I can tell you is not perfect, but I can kind of guide you. So one thing that I find irritating with Brightspace is, like, if I want to have just information, like a web page with information, I could do that really easily. And you can see that it shows up as it shows up. This is a web page. And this is my TA information, which is a supremely basic web page at this point. But you can do lots of things with it. And actually, maybe I'll just jump out and go to a nicer one. So like in my virtual field trips. So here's I have a little introduction to my Hogsback virtual field trip with objectives and so on. If you want to actually create a page with information on it, for some reason, it's called create a file, which you would think it would be create a page or create a web page, but this create a file option actually gets you to just a simple web browser, and you can do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. You can post, put images in here, links. You can, change, the font sizes, make it obnoxiously large or whatever you want. And it'll make a page for you, or you can cut and paste from a Word document for whatever reason. And now you have information, ready to go as a page in there. And it's nice and obvious for students that it's a web page, but again, I don't know why they just don't say create a page here. So, but they say create a file. So just so you know, create a file is actually creating one of these web pages. I'm going to delete that entirely. So yeah, what else from here is okay. This is where I'm going to give you some really sage advice. You can create things on the fly. So let's say you want to do a new quiz, you can do that. You can do that by just creating things here. But I'm going to strongly discourage that. I'll show you a better way to actually generate quizzes or assignments and things like that. And then what you should be doing is adding them in there. If you do it from here, you can get there, but you end up having to jump through a bunch of different hoops, and it turns out to be a bit of a pain in the ass, to be blunt. So again, sometimes you kind of do things on the fly anyways, and you can do that through here. But the nice thing is, if you set your quizzes and your assignments and things like that up in advance, which is extremely easy to do, you can add them very easily. So by going back to this existing activities, so let's just add an existing activity, like I'm going to add a quiz. So here you can see I've got all of my existing activities in here, and quiz 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and exams and so on. I use the quiz tool for assignments, so I've got a bunch of assignments in here and my field trips and so on. But I can just go in and add quiz number 4, boom, yeah, it needs to go right here, and it's there. Done. This makes it like really easy to deal with. You don't have to jump through any hoops. So let's maybe go and see how we want to do that. And I'm going to be totally honest. I was with See You Learn and other things, I was a more create on the fly and just add it this way. But with the switch to Brightspace, I've gone to get everything laid out first, and then add existing activities, because it's just a lot more fluid and straightforward. So how are we going to do that? Again, we're going to go back to course admin. Oh, actually, last thing before we go to that, the one thing you can always do, and this is a question that came up, if you want to see what this looks like for students. So right now we're in editor mode. You can click on your name up here, and you can view as learner. So we'll see how this changes as we go to view as, dumps us back out here. But we can go back into lecture modules, and here you can see it's a much more streamlined view. As you can see, I have not completed viewing all of my lectures. I've done 0% of this course. But for students, obviously, once they click on that link, it'll actually say they've completed X many topics. And so on. So it's a little bit of a cleaner look for them than what we're seeing as we do this. And then you can just kill viewing as learner by going back up to your name. I should have pointed out, you notice that the icon changed to your learning as viewer. So quizzes and assignments, the sort of critical things. So let's go back up to course admin. This area is going to be your friend. And so for quizzes, if you go into the quizzes section, this is what you're faced with. And in fact, I'm thinking maybe I'll jump into my blank course to do this. So what you'll see is you can see that for this course, all of my quizzes are published. And again, I use the quiz tool for most of my assignments, not all of them, including my field trips. The only thing that hasn't been published because the exam's this upcoming Saturday is the final exam. But let's go into my blank course, my fall course, and I'll show you like maybe how I'm going to actually do this for the fall, having kind of stumbled through a whole bunch of things in the winter and summer course. So here I am, I've got nothing in here, so quizzes, but I know I've got a course outline, and I know that I'm going to have 5 quizzes or 10 quizzes. In the fall, I'm going to have 10. So I can create a new quiz, and I'm just going to call this lecture quiz 1. So this is what you're faced with, lecture quiz 1. What category is this? Oh, it's going to be part of my lecture quizzes category. So I'm going to add this category as a category, just to keep, and I spelled lecture wrong. I'm going to have to live with it, even though it's going to drive me bananas right now. So quiz questions. This is empty, and I'm going to totally leave this empty. So the one thing to not be freaked out about regarding like setting up everything up is you don't have to have all of your quiz questions ready to go. I'll show you the question bank here in a minute and what this is. You can add the questions on the fly. So that's the nice thing. You can add a description. So this quiz 1 covers the universe, which it doesn't, but whatever. And that'll show up so the students know what quiz is all about. You can leave all this other stuff here. I always disable right click and disable this stuff, even though it's really not probably doing that much from preventing plagiarism and academic misconduct. So I'm happy. I've got my lecture quiz 1. It's in my lecture quiz category. I say a little bit about it. I'm just going to come down here and hit save. Cool. Great. Now I'm going to go to this next tab over, restrictions. And restrictions are, okay, first of all, I'm hiding it from users. I don't want anybody to see it. But I do already know, because I've created my course outline, that all of my, my lecture quizzes are going to be due on Friday by midnight, for example. So let's just go to September. So this is going to be due September 17th at, well, let's just make it 6 p.m. because it's shorter down the list. So it has a due date of 6 p.m. and you can leave it at that, or you can get fancy and say, okay, I don't want it to show up until September. So you can keep them, hidden. Okay, it's going to show up September 10th at 12:01. It's good enough. So it'll automatically, like students won't even be able to click into it at all if you choose this has a start date. But yeah, the nice thing is, okay, so the other nice thing as I'm moving along here, when you set this due date, it automatically now populates to the course calendar. So as you do this in advance, so if you set up all 10 quizzes in advance, they have all their due dates on the course calendar. There's no excuses. It's all there for them. The start dates don't show up unless you click display in calendar, which I generally don't do because they don't need to really know. We'll ignore release conditions. We can talk about those if you really want to. There's some cool things you can do, like, oh, they're not allowed to do quiz 1 until they've watched all of the lecture modules in module 1. I haven't gone so far to do that kind of thing. Basically, if you go ahead and start quiz 1 without having watched lecture 1, then you snooze, you lose. You can do other things like password protected or what have you. Doesn't matter. But if you want to have this as an actual quiz, you want to enforce the time limit. So, for example, these will be 15-minute quizzes. I usually just give a 1-minute grace period, and then I prevent students from making any further changes once that time limit's up. I mean, you can choose what you want to do. Allow the students continue working, but automatically score it as 0 after an extended deadline. It seems pretty harsh, but nevertheless, you can do that. So that's setting up the quiz in terms of timing. I'm going to leave it hidden, but you can unhide it too. If you set this, it's not available to. You can unhide it, and they'll see that there's going to be a quiz, but it's just they're not going to be able to access it at all, which is convenient. Special access. Let's pause for a moment and talk special access. This is where you're going to enter all of your PMC accommodations, but you don't have to enter them here. This is in fact a nice thing about Brightspace. You can actually enter a PMC accommodation for an individual student and only enter it once for the entire term in a different section. You can use this area. Let's say, for example, you've got a student, they were sick, and you want to give them, some extra time because it was a legitimate thing, and you'll give them an extra 3 or 4 days. You can allow selected users special access to the quiz. I don't know what's going to happen here if there's any students enrolled. So you can change that due date. For example, okay, they were sick, so I'm going to give them till the 20th to do that instead. You're not making any timing changes. You're not giving them extra attempts, although you could do that. Then, since I don't have any students enrolled in the course yet, this blue box right here is where all your students, the student class list would show up. And you could just check a box for, Darius needs to actually have some extra time. So we're going to click Darius, and he gets the extra time, add special access, and it'll show up underneath there. And if people want to see that, I can pop back to one other course after and show you what it looks like for some of my existing quizzes. But don't monkey with students that need that accommodation for the whole term. I'll show you where to do that later. So there, we're set up. We save our quiz. Assessment. So this is where, again, this is where you're going to enter it into, this is where you're going to link it to something in the grade book. So right now, there's no grade item. So what I want to do is add a grade item. And my grade item, I'm going to call lecture is, and the category, I don't have a category, so I would create a category in my gradebook actually in advance, probably called, this is actually quiz 1, and there's no category, so I can choose that after, and I'll show you how to do that. But here, the maximum points is going to be 15. The weight, I'm going to leave, since I know I'm going to have 10 quizzes, I'm going to leave the weight as 10. If I was only going to have 5 quizzes, I would change that to 20. So one of the things in Brightspace is the weight for an individual category has to equal 100%. So if you're, and I can show you in the gradebook, but for example, let's say your quiz category is, 20% of your total course grade. You don't have to do, you actually can't, you should not do the math to figure out what, 10% of that 20% is. So you wouldn't ever enter 2%. You're just going to add up, okay, all of my lecture quizzes, my 10 lecture quizzes are going to be 10% each, or 10 weight of 10 each. And it does the math for you. I learned that the hard way in the winter because I was just used to doing all the math myself, and it did not like that. But it gives you an error message, and I'll show you. So the weight is going to be 10 for me because I'm going to have 10 quizzes. There's no bonus, there's no default scheme, everything else is cool. I'm just going to hit save, and now you can see, okay, here's my grade item. It's quiz 1. Since I know the quizzes are going to be, for my lecture quizzes are all multiple choice, I'm going to just click allow automatic export to grades. And what that will do is, and I'm just opening this up, what that will do is if you've got all multiple choice and all that kind of good stuff, or true false, things that are automatically graded within Brightspace, it'll just dump that up to the grades once the quiz closes. and that's great. If you've got anything that needs any kind of manual grading, do not check that, because then what happens is it dumps up the automatically graded things to the grade book. Then you got to go back in and do the manual grading, and then you have to republish everything. It just creates a little bit of a rigmarole. So if you know you only have things that are going to be, again, like true, false, or matching, or stuff that's automatically graded, feel free to check that box. If you want them to just go immediately once the students are done, you can do that as well. I generally wait till it closes, but choose your poison. One attempt, everything's good. And objectives, yeah, let's not worry about that. You can set up learning objectives. Submission views, we can talk about here, but basically, here is my quiz. I'm going to just save and close. Now I have my quiz. So I am now ready to, so now I can, I thought there was a duplicate quiz. There was a, did I miss that?
Jeff, it's under copy. You got to copy and paste it.
Oh,
I think that's how we
copy?
did it when I was worried. Yeah, I think that's how we did it under Queens. Yeah, Queens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. So I can do copy, and then there you go. Since again all my quizzes are going to be the same. I'm not going to do that, but I can do this too. Oh, that's driving me crazy. So save and close, and then my lecture quiz 2 is there. And again, I would have monkeyed with the dates, but just to save time, I would monkeyed with the dates and show that. So I would, just copy. And again, the nice thing is, so if we go to the course home, oh, I don't have calendars in here. So course admin, let's just go to the calendar. Where's the calendar? Oh, it's not in there. Course schedule. Oh, full schedule. There's no schedule. There's no scheduled events. Why is my stuff not in
Hey,
there?
Jeff, go back to course admin. Go back to course admin. Calendar is under site resources.
Where's my calendar? Oh, there it is. So, oh wait. Let's go. June, July, August, September. Oh, it should show up there. Oh, maybe because I didn't say the start date. Okay, so it's not showing up, but it will should show up in the calendar. And that's where, again, coming back to these other courses, I like having this calendar because it will show up like this for the students. The final exam. In this case, I showed when the start time was just because it was an exam, but quizzes and assignments and everything will show up in this calendar quick and dirty for them to see everything as you set it up. And again, if you set up all of those quizzes, it will have those deadlines spread out through time, through your different deadlines if you set them up in advance. So let's go back. Finally, I'm kind of already over. If anybody has to leave, they can leave, or if anybody has to leave and has a specific question, they can. But one of the things, actually, so let's go back into the quizzes. So the question library. So this is the other thing, which is right now blank. So the question library is something where you're gonna be tempted to pull a lot of things in from your existing courses. And basically what I'm going to say here is, unless it was a multiple choice or a true false question or an essay type question from CU Learn, it's probably not going to come across very well. If you use any other kinds of questions in CU Learn, they're going to really, they're not going to work. And in fact, if you used, so there's different types of questions you can add. And if you use, for example, in CU Learn, if you're familiar, You can do a multiple choice question in CU Learn where you actually do like multiple selections. Like you could say, oh, name pick the 3 minerals that you find in granite, and you've got your list of 8 minerals, and they can check quartz, biotite, potassium, feldspar to get the correct answer, or whatever that might be. In CU Learn, that's a multiple choice question. In Brightspace, it's a multi-select question. And when the import happens, it doesn't take those multi-select type questions. The granite question from CU Learn comes in as a multiple choice question, but it's also broken because it's got you've got multiple answers, and for a multiple choice question, you can only have one. So it comes in as broken. So you have to really look and see what's going on. The nice thing is it's really simple to generate questions. Really easy to generate. Short description, question 1, and what is my name? Super easy. Jeff. What did you always used to call me, Chris? Jeff? Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Chris. All right. You choose randomized order. Change the number of points. There's a few other options, like if, for example, you can add enumeration. I like adding enumeration on online quizzes because it's just, I don't know, for some reason there's no real point to it, I feel, but you can add that if you wanted to, and you can see it adds ABC, which again, don't ever do that. You can add a hint, not Greg. And that'll show up. And then the nice thing is, if you're generating questions from scratch in Brightspace, you can just do save and copy. Boom. What is my last name? So on and so forth. Okay. So you can just keep burning through questions pretty easily doing that. The types of questions you have are pretty good. There are a few limitations some things that I liked in CU Learn that you can't do here, but by and large, it's pretty good. Matching works really well. Ordering is great. Fill in the blanks works pretty well. I don't do too many arithmetic questions myself. I do some math questions, but I generally just have them as short answers. But that's pretty easy. The other thing, again, you can see create a new section. I'll call these stupid questions. What is my name? And you can hide that from learners. So here's stupid questions. Oh, wait a minute, I wanted question 1 to be in my stupid question category. So I'm just going to move it there. I just clicked it, hit move, chose what folder, and so on and so forth. Now, let's look at what happens when you actually import from CU Learn. I think, oh wait, so yeah, import. No, oh, sorry. We're in the wrong spot. You don't want to do that. You want to go back to course admin. Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff, before you move on, if you go back to adding a new question.
Yeah, sure.
Just for people who haven't used Brightspace before, if you have a fill in the blank question and you have Brightspace automatically mark the questions, if they spell a word wrong, like Jeff spelled lesson, if they don't have it spelled correctly, they will mark it wrong. But there is a way to add variations to or alternate spellings to particular words. I found that the hard way when I was at Queen's because we had like 80, 90 students in the class, and then they would all spell feldspar differently.
Right. Oh,
so
yeah. Is it still blanks or short answer? I think it's short answer.
Well, no, because if you put for your answer, if you puts feldspar with a capital F, they will not accept feldspar with a lowercase f.
Right.
Then that would be an incorrect so just be careful when you're setting that up.
So you can put in Jeff. Jeff. I take Jeff with a for my mother. Maybe they did that. So that will all get graded correctly.
Yeah.
You just keep adding them by clicking.
But if they spelled Jeff, Jeff, it would be marked wrong.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
At least it's not Greg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's a good point, Chris. So yeah, good point. So let's go back and just think about getting stuff in if you've already got a bunch of stuff from CU Learn, and if you've taught a course before. So for example, like like Maurice, I know like Earth 2404 stuff is going to come through. So you can go back to the course admin, import, export, copy components. And what you'll do is you'll copy components from another organizational unit, and you can search for the offering. And for example, I can do 1006. And I've got a lot of these that they've pulled in, which is inconvenient. But you can see these are the converted courses that they've brought in. So this is fall 2019 and fall 2020 courses that have been brought in. It clearly tells you that these have been converted, which probably means that there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's wrong in there. But then there's also again, for me, it's got all my labs listed already, but I can also pull. So what I'm going to do for the fall is I'm going to pull from the summer course, and it should come in pretty cleanly because I've already cleaned things up. But let's just go take a look and pull some stuff in from fall 2020. So you add that. And I'm going to select components. You don't want to copy all components. Just like, I'll say that again. Do not copy all components. It's just going to make a mess of your course. So you want to select what you bring in. And then it brings you to this laundry list of things that you can pull in. There's lots of stuff you can pull in. Like you can pull in content. I would not touch content display settings with a 10-foot pole. You could bring in course files. For example, if you had all your lecture slides in PDF format already, you can do that. So we can take a peek at that, select individual items. I'm not going to pull in content. Maybe I'll just select individual items. We'll see. Assignments, I'm going to leave. Grades, yeah, obviously no. I wouldn't do grade settings from CU Learn. That's probably going to screw that up hard. But question library, for sure, you might want to pull in some questions that you got in CU Learn already. I wouldn't pull in anything else like course appearance, release conditions. I wouldn't even pull in the quizzes. They're not going to come in correctly. Again, I would be hesitant to choose anything other than like question library items and really course files. Like even content, it's so easy to create the content in Brightspace. I probably wouldn't do it, but let's just take a peek. So you hit continue, and then yeah. So here is what this looks like. It's a rat's nest of stuff. So here, these are the question libraries. So these are the question collections. And so what you can see is I've got some feedback, virtual field trips, lecture module quizzes, and these have my questions in here. So okay, I'm gonna bring in my lecture module quizzes. And the funny thing is, you've got all of these other options here, which are blank, which are empty. They're errors. This is all blank. I don't know why it does that. It just does it. So it's usually going to be the first one, at least from my experience, it should be the first one. But yeah, and you can make your life easy. You can expand all or collapse all. But let's just bring in my lecture module quizzes. Continue, and we'll bring in. Let's bring in my virtual field trips. It's going to be a hot mess. We'll try it, but we'll see. And my course files. I know. Oh, see here, I have all of my lecture modules in here. I can bring in whatever files. There, I'm just going to bring in 2 files. Yeah, it's got everything in there. So continue. I'm only choosing a little bit just because it does take time to import it. But so now it's going to it's confirming with me. It's going to bring in these content, these course files, these questions, finish, and the copying in progress will go. It shouldn't take too long because it's a minimal amount of stuff. Copy completed. And then now, just for curiosity, I didn't ever bring in any course material. Oh, so virtual field trips shows up. Very cool. In my visual table of contents. And there it is, virtual field trips. I did a halfway decent job of that. Surprised. Virtual field trips. Oh, but it did not bring any of the information in, which sucks. So here's a little bit of information. I don't know. You can figure out if you want to do that or not. I would probably just make it from scratch. You probably have it in a Word document or a PDF anyways, or you can just open up See You Learn. Like sometimes I just opened up See You Learn in a different tab, copied and pasted, and then formatted it nicely in Brightspace, doing it that way. But let's go back to our course admin and really our quizzes. And let's look at the question library, because now we have, not only do we have our stupid question category, but we have that top. And the nice thing is you can, like, right out of the gates, what I would do is like edit this and call this imported stuff, just so I know what it is. And if we look at it, here are my lecture module quizzes. And if we go into module 1, these are all, okay, I brought in all multiple choice questions. So you can look, and in fact, it does do a decent job of bringing in those kinds of questions. I should have brought in something that didn't have just multiple choice questions. I should have thought of that in advance. I think all of my lecture module quizzes are mostly multiple choice. Maybe not. Oh yeah, so here's a fill in the blanks question that came in. So Bowen's reaction series. So we click on that. You can see as magma begins to cool, it just totally like screwed up what that question should look like. It messed up the weights. Yeah, so there's errors with it. So fill in the blanks just don't come in very well. True fault matching questions sometimes come in okay. Match the tectonic setting with associated plate tectonic setting. So that looks okay, and you can kind of preview it. Looks decent, except for the spell mistake there, capitalization. So matching comes in not bad, but by and large, your multiple choice, your true false are going to be fine. But if any of these are those multi-select questions, they will crap out. Anything with images, I'm glad this came up. Anything that had an image in your question, whether it's a multiple choice question or not, that's going to crap out. So you can see if I preview this, match the appropriate labels. So you're seeing a big missing image right here. And so the question can't be done. So yeah, any multiple choice question that had an image. So it's kind of unfortunate. Brightspace really promised Carleton that the transition from CLearn to Brightspace in terms of importing course content would be a lot more seamless, and that really is not the case. But for example, let's kind of finish up with one thing and go back to our quizzes. Sorry, I should have done editing. So let's kind of just visualize, okay, we've set up all of our quizzes, quiz 1 through 10, but we didn't do anything. We didn't actually add any questions. So we can go to lecture quiz 1, we just click on it. And now what we can do is say, okay, I want to add some questions now. So all I have to do is add edit questions, and I can import now. So first of all, I can do a couple things. I can make a totally new question if I want. I can make a section. So let's say maybe you want to have a true false section and a multiple choice section. You can do that. Or you can also do a random selection from a group as well. And I can show you how to do that. Or let's just say you want to bring in a couple questions. So you're going to, oddly enough, import from the question library, which seems a little counterintuitive, but you browse the question library. And let's say, for example, I definitely want to have my stupid question in there, and I'm going to import it. Now, my stupid question is in there, which is great. But let's say I want to have from my 15 or 20 module 1 questions, I want to have another 10 or 9 for a total of 10. So I'm going to add a question pool, and I'm going to, even before I do this, I'm going to just browse my question library, go to my imported stuff, which I probably really wouldn't do. I'd clean all these up, of course. And I'm going to just choose everything in module 1, and I'm going to import. And so it tells me right away. So here I'm going to just say random module 1. So these are random questions from module 1. And it tells me there's 20 questions in here. And let's assume they're all multiple choice true false. I want to choose, well, actually, I made my quiz 15 points. So I'm going to choose 14 of those, plus my 1, because my 1 stupid question also goes in there. And it just tells you it's going to randomly select 14 questions out of those 21. It gives you a preview, which is completely meaningless because it's 14. You can refresh that if you want, but you can just save. And now here's my lecture quiz 1. It's a total of 15 points with my stupid question plus my random selection of questions in there. You can preview it if you want. So I'll just do a little quick preview. Here's my start quiz. And here's my stupid question. I answered wrong. And here are my other questions that I'm going to go through and answer. I'm going to submit the quiz. Yeah, I know. And I'm done. So there's my attempt. So I'm going to go back to the quiz section and go to my lecture quiz 1. And just to show you that you can see, here's that stupid question, and then you have the random selection of questions for a total of 15 in there, and your quiz is all ready to go. You can also do things like I only want 1 question per page, so you can just do that, and it'll paginate it. You can shuffle the questions at the quiz level if you want, but since these are random questions, they're already shuffled. But let's say maybe you have 8 questions and 7 random questions. You could shuffle at the quiz level, and it'll shuffle everything above it as well, just to prevent academic misconduct type things. And you're good to go. Your quiz is ready to go. What it shows you is that it's hidden, but it's in the gradebook because we assigned a gradebook item. So do people want me to still continue? I can go to the gradebook and show you a little bit there, or if you want, because that's probably in addition to setting up your quizzes. In fact, setting up your gradebook is, I should point this out. Setting up a gradebook would probably be the first thing you want to do. So if you go to grades, what you're going to mainly spend your time on is managing grades. And so here we already entered quiz 1. And so what I can do is create a new, first of all, I want to create a new category, and I'm going to call that lecture quizzes. And the weight, so let's say my lecture quiz category is, actually it's going to be 10%, so I'm going to leave it. And then I'm going to save and close. So now I have my lecture quizzes category in here. And in fact, what I want to do is I want to move this. Why can't I move that? Oh, maybe, oh no, I'm going to edit this. And then I'm going to choose my lecture quizzes category. I'm going to go back in and because I didn't have those set up in advance, which again is probably why you want to have these set up in advance. But now I can just create a new item. It's going to be a numeric item. We'll call it quiz 2. Category, lecture quizzes. Maximum points is going to be 15 because I know they're all going to be 15. I know I'm having 10 quizzes, so I'm going to do 10. And then we'll go down, and I'm not going to save and close. I'm just going to do save and new. Numeric. I can just keep going. Quiz 3. Category, lecture quizzes, 15 points. And I'm just going to save and close for the purposes. And now it's all in there. And then, you know, new category, you can make it exams. The weight of all of my exams, let's say it's going to be 60% of the course. Again, you're going to know this because you've already created your rubric. So a couple of things to point out. So you can go in there and, you know, create a new item. Let's call it numeric. Let's call it term exam category exams. Say it's going to be 100 points and it's 50. I'm going to only have 2 exams. So it's going to be 50% of the weight, with the final exam being the other 50%. So now let's just stop and take a look here. First of all, it's giving you a bunch of errors at the top. Final calculated grade sums to 70%, not 100. That's because I've got my 2 categories, my lecture quizzes at 10% and my exams at 60%. And so it's telling me, look, you're missing some stuff. Okay, so I'm missing the labs, which are worth 30%. I can't remember what the value is. So I can add my category. Let's just go ahead and add a new category. Call it labs. The weight is 30. And save and close. So now I'm good. That error is gone. So it's only giving me errors for within each category. So for example, lecture quizzes sums to 30%, not 100%. It's because, remember how I mentioned before, I used to do all the math, and in the winter I did the math and entered, you know, what this value would have been, but you just need to sum this total of items in that category to 100%. So since there's 10 quizzes, they each are worth 10%. For the midterm exam, or for the final exam, it's going to be 50%. So if I added that in there, new item, numeric, final exam, category exams, rating, it's going to be 100 points as well, and it's 50%. We should have, our error is gone, or our note, I should say. This doesn't give you an error, but it gives you a note, and it totals up to that. So once you've got your course outline, you can come in here and set your gradebook up entirely. Lecture quizzes, exams, labs, whatever. And then when you go ahead and create your quizzes, you can just choose those right from those categories. You could say, yeah, quiz 2 is part of this. And then it'll show up as so notice how this is associated, this quiz is associated in the gradebook. It gives you information that you're actually associated. And the same thing, if we pop back to quizzes, we can see that this little flag right here says there is an item associated with this in the gradebook. And now I can edit quiz 2. And under my assessment tab, I can come in here, and again, if I was doing this at the, you know, after having set the gradebook up first, here's all the stuff that's not assigned in the gradebook. And I know this is quiz 2, so I just choose it. And I'm going to automatically do that. And you can see that it's got this little flag saying, yeah, you've assigned this to something in the gradebook. So yeah, I've been talking for a long time, so I'll stop now, but
No,
go ahead.
I got a question, so you're gonna babble for some more.
No, that's fine.
I was planning on giving a choice of, say, 4 out of 6 assignments. Is there a way for a gradebook to choose, say, either the highest 4 marks or some way of doing that?
There is. I personally haven't done this, but I recall seeing that. So like, let's use quizzes as an example. Say they have to do 4 out of 6
5,
lecture quizzes.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever, it doesn't matter. So I think if we go back, to the grade book and manage grades, I believe, let's say here, let's go edit. Is that there? I might be out of my element here in terms of knowing where to choose that. Is it under restrictions? It might be in the grade book. It might, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm vaguely recalling somewhere that is doable. I just don't remember where. So yeah.
Okay, well, I'll look for it.
Yeah.
All I can remember is it was difficult to set up, and we ended up calculating it manually.
Yeah, that'd be a good question for the Brightspace folks on like either. So the nice thing, okay, you might have heard some of the indoctrination that has been sent out, but at least the nice thing with Brightspace now, we have like 24/7, 365 access to Brightspace help directly from Brightspace if we need it. In addition to all the resources that Carleton is putting up on the EDC website, like if you've got drama, you can like serious drama, you can literally phone Brightspace and get help, whatever, which is super convenient. And they're pretty quick to respond. Like I've submitted a couple tickets, one of which was actually just a silly mistake on my part, and they got back to me really quickly about it. 2 of them were actually fairly substantial bugs with the software, so it took a little while for them to actually, because they had to actually change code, but otherwise they're good about getting back. So yeah, I would ask about that. There might even be, if you do a Google search on it, there might even be some Brightspace, or if you go to the Brightspace. So like there's the service desk, but there's also the community right here. The Brightspace community, like we have access to, like you have access to that. So there are forums. You can just join and go to the forum, as an instructor, and there's guides, there's discussions, like, is it possible to combine 2 sections? So there's lots of information out there, and you can, like, just like any other forum on the web, you can search this. So if you want to dig a little bit yourself, you might find the answer there, or certainly get help by going to either EDC folks or Brightspace itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got another quick question.
Yeah, fire away.
When you were doing the quizzes, you were saying for the PMC students, we don't have to do it individually, but did you show, I don't recall you showing like the...
No, I didn't show you. So, okay, let's jump out, and I have to jump out of here because I don't have any students in that course. So this is being recorded. So, okay, I'll edit the recording I'll have to edit the recording to kill this part because it's student information.
Or you can just...
I have a quick question for quizzes.
Sure.
In CUlearn before, you could kind of type your quizzes somewhere, and then you can import the questions into CUlearn, and then it sets it all up for you.
Right.
Is there a way to do that with Brightspace instead of entering them all manually?
Yes, I believe there is. I have not done this, but I believe it's under one of the import-export copy components sections. I think if you can you can import in certain formats. Now, again, I didn't do this because I had everything either coming in from CUlearn already, or I was just in my brand new winter course, I was too darn busy to be that like ahead of the game, and I was just creating questions on the fly as quickly as I could. I can't remember. I think there's a help item on this about importing questions. which I'm being completely not helpful right now regarding that. But
That's okay.
but I do know there is a way to answer it. I have heard that it can be done. I just haven't had the haven't had to actually do it.
Okay.
Yeah, quiz migrate. Oh, it might be in this migration guide. Yeah, this is, yeah, they're all broken. It's not, maybe it's not the migration guide. Test quiz generator resource. Yeah, there might be something in, oh, look at that. They've got one. So there's one right here. Awesome, I did not know that.
Oh.
Cool. I will have to remember that because that is definitely something I've done in the past as well. Cool. So yeah, well, you can follow instructions just as well as I can. So.
Okay, can you copy that link in the chat?
Yeah. I will throw that in the chat, and maybe I'll email it too, but. Oop. I haven't been monitoring the chat at all. Sorry.
No, sorry. Awesome, thank you.
Cool. Yeah. I'm happy to stay on as long as people want, and other questions, I'm totally fine with that. So if you've got other stuff, I can answer questions.